Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Guess what? Oh, I won't make you guess. Today, we have with us our very first female CEO, the powerhouse, smart as a whip, technically savvy, abundantly gifted, Krupal Swami of Team SWAMI. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to you. Thank you for accepting my invitation. I am so excited that you are here. Thanks so much for being here. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite.
I appreciate you accepting. I am just like, we've been talking for a little bit. I am so happy that you're here. A fellow IBM champion, just an amazing individual. I had the pleasure of meeting you at Tech Exchange in Las Vegas last year. Just floored in awe. I think I met you at during sound check. I was just like, that's her. Can't believe it. You were just completely amazing. And reading through your resume, like we talked before, you're like an Olympian of tech. Like, you are just a winner, a complete winner. And I said, you know what? Krupal can do things. We can do things. The audience is new to Z. People that want to be like the winners of the mainframe, and you are a complete winner. I'm not going to fangirl anymore. Listen, I do this every week. This is like my whole dream. And it's so sad because I get to sit up here and talk to my heroes, right? But I want to share it with everybody. Krupal, do you mind just telling us more about you? Just a little bit about you. How did you become you?
Well, I grew up outside of Chicago, moved here from India when I was 6, and my parents kind of started over in the Chicago area, and so I think I always had that drive to do well and be successful and make them proud of the sacrifices they made to move to the US from India and start over, and I have always had a pretty strong work ethic and just never had a sense that I couldn't figure something out, So when I went to college, it was at Eastern Illinois, and I was going to be a history teacher. And history teacher. And I got a part-time job as a student worker in the computer lab, and figured out pretty quickly that I was pretty good at technology, and started helping other people, use the computer lab and the computers, and ended up switching my major. So I still have a teaching degree. It's teaching business for 6 through 12. But then I had an IT degree, a tech degree. So yeah, I totally did not start college expecting to end up with an IT degree, and ended up getting one on the other side. And my first job out of college was doing mainframe. I was doing mainframe programming for the consulting firm that I worked with. So I did auto rating issuances and started with PL1 and DB2, and so totally not this is the path I'm going to start with. So
And hopefully you can hear me okay. Okay, cool. Had to do my headset here. Listen, so your whole thing, you wanted to be an educator, a history educator, and teaching is such an honorable profession. And wow, just to think you had that in you. You wanted to you wanted to teach. You wanted to be this person that was giving, and that in and of itself is wow. That takes a lot. That takes a lot. You know what, Krupal? Excuse me. Um, I'm gonna open up chat because I see that it's bubbling, and folks are going to be asking questions.
Oh,
I
okay.
can already tell it's coming. So here we are. You go to school and you say, I want to be a history teacher. So then you start working in the computer lab and you catch the bug. That's the part that I really kind of wanted to just pick at just a little bit,
Okay.
because what was it about being in the computer lab that caught your attention? Because of course you had to learn a little bit of something about technology to be able to be helpful, right? So what was it, excuse me, in the computer lab that made you think this might be a good career for me?
I think it was I pick up technology pretty quickly. And so being able to, if you do something that you're good at, it makes it easier to keep doing it. And I think I started picking it up pretty quickly and I was able to help other people, just think back to your college days of term papers and being in the lab at 11:30 at night and something not working and, you know, being the person who helped those who weren't comfortable with the computers or the printers or doing different things. So I think it was just I started getting comfortable with it, and the more comfortable I got, the more I started thinking, well, maybe I should look at this as another option. And so then that's how it kind of wound its way into being in the business school and the School of Education to get both degrees. So
Wow. 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 PJ is chiming in.
oh, hey PJ.
Hey, PJ. Welcome. Appreciate you. Yeah. So, with all of that, we were talking a little bit, and you were telling me about, you know, going out and chatting with students today. Um, how is it different from when you were in school, and seeing the students on campus, and then going out today and then literally mentoring and telling folks about what it's like to be a true blue technologist? What's the differences, and what do you see when you go out?
We have spent a lot of time working on bringing back mainframe curriculum in Illinois. So Greg DeBow, who works on my team as a principal consultant,
Love
spends a
him.
lot of time. Yeah, he's great. Spends a ton of time with schools, Northern, Eastern, Illinois State, Wesleyan, Millikan. We're University of Illinois Springfield. So we are working with a lot of the administration, and some of the schools have mainframe programs, some of them don't. And just getting in front of the students and helping them understand that there's a lifelong career if you choose to go into mainframe technology, that you could do different jobs with the technology and never leave the platform, and we try to explain, when you think about the distributed world and you think about other platforms, they continue to evolve as well.
Hmm.
However, you tend to go through cycles. There was the Hadoop cycle, and then there's other cycles with different technology, where this platform, we're still adding things. We're modernizing data access, we're modernizing applications, languages, but you don't necessarily have to learn something completely brand new. to still be a part of the platform through your career. And I think students have two surprises when we talk to them. One is that you could stay on the platform and learn lots of different things. And the other is the amount of work the platform continues to do across many industries. They're always surprised by the number of companies and the volume of workload that still goes through the platform. So, but it's fun. It's fun to be back in front of the students and help them kind of envision things that maybe they weren't aware of when they started school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so any takers on that? Look, I'm always asking, like, are any of them going to come over?
Eastern actually brought back one of their mainframe classes. So they used to be well known for teaching mainframe, and then about 15 or 16 years ago, they kind of stopped teaching it, and they brought it back this semester, and there's over 30 students enrolled in the class. So and I think next semester we're looking at bringing a languages for mainframe class. So it's this first semester has been really great. We're doing something totally different with the program. We're actually, the professor teaches the concepts on Tuesdays, and then we have industry speakers on Thursdays who come in and talk about practical application of the topic, their careers, things in their companies they're doing, what they're seeing in the industry. So it's been a really good mirroring of public, private, university, higher ed, kind of all together to bring everybody along. Yeah.
That is brilliant. That's brilliant. And for them to see the value of such, oh my goodness. Can we please get more places, more schools to adopt that model? Please. Can you just write that up and package it in something pink and send it out and say, here you go. That would be wonderful. Please and thank you. Love, Tish. Because more folks, if they knew, if only they knew what type of jobs were out there and the type of lifelong careers and the rewards that you get just from working in such a collaborative environment, they would be able to make these wonderful decisions and say, hey, yeah, this is a great place to start and cultivate a career. Oh, PJ, how nice. Yeah, you are doing a great job with the student outreach. We love that. We love that. And, I want to ask, and listen, this for me brings us to, I know I'm jumping forward like really, really far, but it's heavy in my heart. What about women in tech? Are we getting any women in tech interest when you go out to the schools? And this is just me being very curious.
It's there's sometimes where we're in a class and the entire audience is guys. And then there's sometimes that there's a handful of women. So I think there's still opportunity for us to help bring girls along in junior high and high school. I think by the time you get to college, it's too late for some people to have that interest switch. I think I was an anomaly in making that switch in college. I think making technology interesting and exciting for girls from, fourth grade and up is really important, because we tend to lose girls in the 4th through 7th, 8th grade in terms of STEM topics. It starts to get hard, and then they start moving towards other things. And I think it's on all of us to keep engaged with, the elementary schools and the junior high and the high schools and the programs they're having, and be in the classroom in front of, both boys and girls, to show that you could be a role model for them, because sometimes they don't see themselves in, you know, the CEOs of the tech firms or, you know, different things like that. So the more exposure I think we can give girls and women across their educational landscape, the better, I think. And I don't think it's ever too early to start, you know, so.
Yeah. I love the portion of that answer of it's never too early to start, and to have programs and specific programming for those that are, you know, fourth grade, you know, in their younger time, when they're really starting to tinker with things, Legos, tinker toys, things of this nature. And they're utilizing kinetic skills, building things, so they can be able to really see themselves creating and making stuff and building the towers. So yeah, that's a great idea. I want to ask though, because you did mention, you know, it's a little late. It's too late, I think your wording was, for those women in college. Are you saying that it's too late for them to learn, or is it's never too late? It's just kind of late. What did you mean by that?
I think it's harder to gain and keep their interest if they don't have some interest in technology. And
Oh, I see.
do you see what I mean? So
Yeah,
I don't think it's ever too late to learn anything. I think
yeah,
if you are a naturally curious person, you can learn about just about anything if you have that mindset to go into it. I think where it becomes challenging is, you know, these students get into college and they kind of have a plan, and unless they have exposure to different kinds of technologies and different people who are coming in and talking to them, how are they going to know what they don't know, because they
yeah.
never understood it or saw it or
They weren't
had
exposed to it.
interest in it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So it's more about that. So how do we get that level of curiosity happening earlier? And then if students are in college and they have the curiosity, I think they would pick up the technology. I don't think technology is hard to pick up. I think it's you people wanting to have a natural interest in it, you
yeah,
know. And some by the time you get to college, sometimes people have already made up their mind. I made up my mind to go be a history teacher, and I just happened to get in a job that I worked 3 hours every couple days in a computer lab that I knew nothing about, and I
right.
ended up doing that. But not everybody is going to have that kind of experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I love that. I love that. And you know what? I think that you're pulling the heavy load by literally taking the time and caring so much about our systems, that you are going in with your team and saying, "Hey, I care enough. I want to show you all what we're about. This is what the mainframe ecosystem is about. And you know what? It's not too late. You can actually learn what our systems are about. It's not too late." And Krupal, just, if no one has said thank you, can I say thank you for that? Because again, you know, not everyone can teach, first of all. I mean, we can all be teachers in some sort of way, but you just have carried from day one this entire spirit of education and giving back. And it's just carrying forward all the way through Team SWAMI. And we just love that for you. We absolutely do. That is wonderful. And thank you for that. I have some other questions for you. And listen, I'm trying not to drill down too hard on too much on too many things, but you know how we get over here at Tish Talks Tech. Um, I want to ask you, we've gone over how much winning you have done. What can you tell those new people, those that are aspiring to be these 10x coders on mainframe, these programmers, these maintainers of the system, what can you tell them to inspire them to be all that they can be within their processes, how they can be the best that they can be within their careers? That's a loaded question, so you can take it anywhere.
I would just say my personal approach when I was young in my career was learn as much as I can about what I was working on, who I was helping, the business I was helping. So I spent a lot of time in consulting. And, so I understood the business of insurance or the business of banking or the business of financial services, as well as my sisters joke that my goal is to get all the alphabet letters behind my name. But I believed that if you're in quality, you should get the quality designations. If you're going to be a project manager, you should get a PMP. So, learn the concepts and the theory also behind what your topic is, so that you can speak from a perspective of your education and your experience. And I always say, I never had a path. People say, what are you going to do in 5 years? Quite honestly, I have no idea what I'm going to do in 5 years from now. But take calculated risks, challenge yourself to learn new things, and don't get complacent. I think too many people get too comfortable, and that is where then you start to feel like, oh, maybe I'm not as competitive. But if you keep challenging yourself and, trying different things, and, I mentor a lot of people, and a lot of them I coach on interviewing. And sometimes it's within the same company, so they're interviewing for a new job. And I always say to them, the worst thing that can happen is you stay in the job you're in, which you like. So if that's your worst case scenario, then why not go try something else? And when you put it that way, it makes it less daunting that, if you try something and it doesn't work out, then you'll try something else. It's fine. It's not going to be the end of the world. And as long as you're trying and challenging yourself, you'll continue to grow. And that growth gives you opportunities, I think.
I love that. That's super words of wisdom. On that note, I want to ask you about your rise, because when I look at the career, the whole career, when I saw the resume, I said, how did it happen? I don't want the gritty details, but I need the high overview. So I want to start with State Farm. So how did you excuse me, how did you make the rise so quickly? And for me, it was quick. I know for you, it maybe, but it just seemed like it was like elevator. You just did such a wonderful job.
I was lucky. I was consulting for 12 years before I joined State Farm as an architect. And so, you think about the collective 12 years of experience with a bunch of Fortune 500 companies that were banking and insurance and financial services. And then I went through an MBA program and got 2 MBAs from UCLA and the National University of Singapore, and traveled the world doing that, which I love to travel. So it was a perfect program for me. And when I joined State Farm, I think it was a great opportunity to be somebody new in the culture. Most of the time, architects were promoted from within, so they did not hire from the outside. Right. And then, within 15 months, I interviewed for a director spot and I got it, and then proceeded to do a lot of different assignments as a lead architect and then a director there. And, I think if you take on a challenge and do it well and build healthy teams, then you get opportunities to do more things. And so that's how I ended up getting to do a lot of different things there. So yeah, it was a great experience.
I have to ask, because I have to ask, did you sleep? Did
I
you?
did. I did.
I just needed to know. And that's just me being selfish. But Krupal, when I saw it, I said, how? But again, this goes back to, that was not an I asked that question because it's not an overnight thing. And when people look at what you have accomplished, they're like, wow, that just happened so quickly. Like, wow. And she was from the outside. Like, how did that even happen? No. Can we please celebrate what actually happened? And I wanted folks to hear it from you. I wanted them to hear it from you. It was not just, oh yeah, they hired somebody from the outside. No, they hired a proven, successful person to do the job, promoted the proven success, got results from a proven leader, and ran with it. What you did is just remarkable.
Well,
I don't have to tell you that.
well, and you know, the other thing is, I feel like because some of the audience is new to mainframe and new to tech and stuff, you know, knowing that sometimes you do have to put in the time, and
Yeah.
maybe you do have to sit in a chair that you're not super excited about for a year or two. Some of it is just, you know, it's been a 25 plus year career. It did not definitely happen overnight. And
Yeah.
but as long as you keep the future and where you want to go in mind as you're doing it, I think you know, you can put in the effort and it'll pay off. You know?
It will pay off.
Yeah.
That was just that's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but uh it's work that was worthy of a task that uh gave a reward that you had to have. I love it. And I love to see it. It's just, I don't know. I can't describe words. I cannot articulate what I'm trying to say, but all I can say is I'm so proud of you.
Oh,
And
thank
you're
you.
welcome. And I love that people are able to see what they want to be. And that right there just empowered, I'm going to say, half the block. Half the block. Everybody is just feeling like, yeah. So it is taking time. And the time that I'm taking to do the thing that I want to do is okay. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It won't. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take you some time. And thank you for level setting that for all of us, because I tell folks all the time, I'm like, look, you know, we think about being new to Z as, oh, well, we just started this a year or 2 or 3 years ago, and we should know these things by now. Well, most people think new to Z is between 0 and 10 years.
Yeah.
0 and 10 years is considered new to Z. So you look at folks and they have 15 years on the platform and they still will tell you, yeah, I'm going to conferences. Yeah, I'm still taking classes. Yeah, I'm traveling. I'm trying to get this knowledge from this speaker that's holding a mastermind in Minnesota, you know, because for 2 weeks. And yeah, I got to go. I can't do it virtually or whatever. And you just said yourself, you know, I did a whole bunch of traveling. I had to do it. I love that, Krupal. Thank you for sharing that, because now that's releasing a lot of folks. And from the confines of, I shouldn't be doing that, or it shouldn't be taking me this long. No, it takes what it takes.
Well, and I think one of the things that I really enjoy about the mainframe community is those with years and decades of experience want to bring the next generation along. They want to share their knowledge. They want to help people succeed. And so, if you are new to the technology, reach out to someone and ask them for help, or somebody in your company who has a lot of experience, because I have not met anybody who in this space doesn't want to continue to help the next generation learn as much as they can. I
Absolutely.
think it's a really special thing about the community, actually, that people just want to help people along.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So after you got your directorship, then you decided to do what? After State Farm, you did what?
So, I went through this self-reflection, as many of us did during COVID, of what's next. And I thought, well, I ran the mainframe at State Farm. I had the IBM contract. I had big contracts there. I ran the vendor management space there. I did workforce strategy there. So I had a lot of great jobs and a lot of opportunity to get a lot of experience with a lot of things. And as I was thinking about what was next, I thought, well, do I want to go, be an executive in a big company or a small company, or what do I want to do next? And I grew up with, my dad was an entrepreneur. He owned his own CPA firm, and I saw, it was hard and came with its own challenges, but I wanted to put my 2 MBAs and that education to practice. I wanted to take the practical experience I learned throughout my career, and I decided to start my own consulting firm. And I noticed in all the mainframe meetings and executive boards and all the things I was sitting on that people kept talking about the challenge of finding mainframe skills. And so, that's really our focus, is helping companies modernize their infrastructure, modernize their applications, their data access, look at ways that they can leverage a pretty hefty investment that they've made in this infrastructure and technology in a way that helps solve problems and get products out the door faster, make solutions that make sense, and not have these years and decades long projects that never finish and end up keeping workload on the mainframe anyway. So that's really the reason that I decided to go out on my own and start the company. And it's been over 2.5 years, and so far so good. It's been fun. We're partners with a lot of the vendors in the mainframe space, and we speak at a lot of conferences. We know a lot of people in the industry, and I've really enjoyed doing this in a path that not everybody would take, quite honestly. So yeah.
You've laid a path, and wow, you mowed the grass, you put out, the cobblestone and smooth the stones. They're beautiful, by the way. I've seen them. Um, they're gorgeous. I have not walked the path, but I definitely can see it. Krupal, that is not an easy feat. That is not easy. Being an entrepreneur, um, you had to have had some serious talks, making all of these decisions. Your team is so deep, like you have some serious minded individuals. um, if I put your website in chat, and so you should be able to see it on the YouTube replay. If you are on YouTube, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on LinkedIn, Facebook, and X, but I will place it in chat when we are done, if you aren't able to see it. But if you go out to the Team SWAMI website, right, you see all of your designations. You see some of the partnerships. You are touching lives that people, you're changing the game completely. A very resourceful person. Your team is so deep, as I said. How do you gather and surround yourself with such excellence?
I'm really lucky. I'm not.
You are.
Honestly, I really am. I mean, I look at my team and I'm so grateful that they joined us, and every person that, we talk to about potentially coming on, we're very intentional. I'm very clear about what the goal of the company is. And so I think that helps to attract the right people. I tell people all the time, it's good people doing good work for good clients. That's it. There's not a lot of drama. There's not politics. I just want to do good work, and I want to do it with good clients and a great team. And so, when we talk to people about potentially joining us, or people that have joined, they like it. They just want to do work. And a lot of deep technical people just want to work. They don't want to fill out a bunch of paperwork. They don't want to do a bunch of forms. They don't want to do all the process stuff. They just want to work. And, obviously you do what the client needs you to do from all of those things. But
For sure.
I think the fact that I have been so clear about what our focus is and why we're in business, makes it easier to attract the right kind of people.
Right. And you make the process easy, obviously. Like, you can make it easy because you know how processes work. So you're able to empower those ones to just, hey, can you do this? Yeah. Oh, so we can do what we do best because you do what you do best. Oh, okay, great, thanks.
Yeah.
And the handoff is easy. I love that. Solutions, just solution. Can we have a solution? Yeah, thanks. I love that. So how long did it take? Like, how long did it take to get from, I had this idea over the COVID times, to now? I mean, we can add up the days, right? But how long did it take to just make this a solid go?
So I would say, I seriously thought about doing it as we were going through COVID. But when I went to business school many years ago, my goal coming out of business school was to be a CEO someday of a company. So I have wanted this for 15 to 20 years. Like that.
Did you see it?
Yes. And I used to joke with my friends that when I become a CEO, I'm going to sign everything in purple. And if you see, my logo has purple in it because that is what I wanted. And so, I do silly things, but I always, aspired to, run a company or do something where I was able to create the culture and deliver. And I noticed, as I was thinking about what to do next, that there aren't a lot of companies who understand business and technology and the mainframe. It's, who can speak to it from experience. So, when I talk with clients about, hey, I know you're modernizing, have you considered, potentially doing this architecture pattern instead of, a big lift and shift, and, that takes up a ton of time and resources and money. And it's a different conversation because I did it. It isn't conceptual for me. I did it. It's not theory. It is the reality of what we were able to implement. So I feel like that experience of doing all of those jobs and then always having that in the back of my mind that I wanted to run a company made it easier when I started to really think about what was next. And I tell people all the time, my worst case scenario is going back to corporate America, which I don't think is a bad worst case scenario, right? So why not? Life is short, so why not try it? And we've been going for over 2.5 years, and I've enjoyed it. My team's enjoyed it, and we've, gotten a lot accomplished in a fairly short amount of time for being a smaller company, which has been fun. So.
I love that. I love it. Can you speak to that portion of, I wanted to be a CEO. I always thought I was going to be a CEO, and I saw it. Can you talk about seeing yourself as the person that you want to be? Can you talk about that just a little bit for us?
I was very fortunate. We always had great role models in our lives who were very successful in their own right. And so they always encouraged us to just dream and do well and work hard. And when you have that as your background, then it's not hard to envision that you could do something. It was never, we were never told, oh, why don't you just go do that? It was always, what are you going to do? What do you want to do? So I was lucky that I had such great role models who just encouraged us to do well. And so when you have that kind of encouragement in the background, then you're not afraid to dream bigger or wider.
I love that. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I was talking to somebody just the other day, and I said, do you even see yourself in the goal or the dream that you're telling me about? And they were like, no, I just know I want to do it. I said, no, you got to see it. You have to be able to see it. If you can't see it, nobody else is going to see it. You won't even see it, right? I love that you're able to share with us that you saw it. You not only wanted it, but you saw it. I think that's the part that folks really need to hear. You have to see it.
Well, and I think the other piece is, when I thought I wanted to someday be a CEO, I made sure I did what I needed to do to have a seat at that table someday, right? I got my master's degrees, I got my designations, I did everything that gave me the opportunity to get a seat at the table without someone saying, well, somebody else is more qualified. Does that make sense? And so, if you see something that you want eventually, I always believe, then think about what are the incremental steps to get there, because it could feel overwhelming if you're just trying to do it all at the same time. But if you incrementally look at, hey, you know what, maybe I'll just do this one class and see if I like it. And maybe I'll do that. When I finished my undergrad, I really wanted to go to business school at Berkeley. Like that was I always wanted to go there. And so ironically, I ended up at UCLA. So, still California schools. But when I got the Berkeley application, it was like 20 some pages, and you had to get all these references and write all these, letters and all this stuff. And I looked at it and I was like, no way. I mean, it just felt overwhelming. I just finished my undergrad. So it took, 13 years before I went back to business school and got, my MBAs. But when I filled out that application and had to do the same exact thing, still had to get the letters of references, still had to write my essays and everything, it didn't feel as overwhelming because I had done so many of the steps to get myself ready for that. So I think it's important to just look at it piece by piece instead of letting all of it kind of make you feel like it's unattainable.
Yeah. Those are words of wisdom, Krupal. Words of wisdom, gems that have been dropped that folks are going to need. They're going to need. Now, for those that are new to the platform, or platform curious, as I like to call them.
I like that, platform curious.
What skills do you think one needs to be successful? Whether it be like, do they all have to take Rex tomorrow, or should everybody get a PMP? What do you think? I tend to believe that the whole, you have to be able to work as a team. You need to know how to utilize documentation. Those are like my two things. What do you think? What comes to mind for you?
I think being a dependable team player is
Ooh,
important. So,
yes.
you know, I used to teach at Millikan, and I used to have the students do a group project at the end. And one of them came up to me and said, you know, we haven't had to do a group project across people we don't know. And I said, well, when you graduate next year, you absolutely will. And you're going to have to figure out how to work with people that you may not know well, or may not be the people you hang out with all the time. So, you know, the
Yep.
first one I would say is be a dependable team player. And the second is learn the topic that you are responsible for. So if
Mm,
that means taking, you know, an online class because you need to learn a little bit more about it, if it means setting up time with a peer to help you so that you can become more comfortable with whatever you're technically responsible for, you know, I would say those are the two big ones. That if you do your job well and you're a productive part of the team,
yeah.
that's a great foundation to build your reputation and your brand wherever you're working.
I absolutely positively agree with that 150%, if that's even a thing. uh, because folks just don't, I don't think that people realize how big uh, being able to work in groups really means. Um, Working in groups, especially on mainframe, you're not heads down. You're
We're not.
usually working with at least six people to solve an issue. This is a very collaborative environment. It's not something where um, you have this luxury of, oh, I'm just going to do it all by myself. No, because you have a $5 million machine that you're maintaining
Yeah.
products on. So it's not just you. I have a really good mentee that I say, hey, it's not just you, boo. And she goes, huh? What? Really? Yeah, it's not just you. It's a whole team. So uh, she says, but I feel so alone. I said, no, don't feel alone. Raise your hand. You'll be sure. Trust me, it's going to be okay. Now, I have something here that I had highlighted that I really wanted to ask you. And let me make sure I get it right. I'm going to build it up really, really quick here. Uh, Here it is. What keeps you going?
You know, I think being a role model for my nieces and nephews, they get excited about Team SWAMI. My little nephew's 12, and he wears the Team SWAMI shirt to school and talks about, you know, my aunt works on the mainframe, which I think is so cool. You know, so I think being a role model for them, being a role model for other women in technology and the guys that I've mentored, and you know, I just think it's we do good things, and it makes a difference in people's lives when, you know, people text me and say, hey, I used one of your phrases in a meeting today, even though you haven't been my boss in years. Or hey, you know, somebody said something the other day and I was like, that is my phrase, and they were like, I know, and I use it and it makes me laugh every time I do. You know, it's stuff like that that you know, just makes it it's rewarding for me. That
What's one of those phrases?
my favorite phrase is, can you help me understand? So it goes from why didn't you, how come, why can't you, to putting it on me as the person who maybe potentially isn't figuring it out, right? It
Yeah.
changes the dynamic of the conversation.
Hmm.
And so a lot of times, and people who've worked with me for, you know, all the time at State Farm, so many of them say that phrase, and it just makes me laugh because I'm like, that's mine, you know, and they're like, I know. So yeah, can you help me understand is one that I used to say a lot, especially in consulting, because you're at a client, you can't say, why did you do that?
What would make you do that?
Yeah, like what were you thinking? But if you say, hey, can you help me understand what the background is, or changes the dynamic of
100%.
So yeah.
Is that the project manager in you?
I think that's, I use the phrase grew up. I grew up in consulting. So the firm I worked with was a small niche kind of consulting firm. And they just taught us that we were a guest of the client. And so when you're a guest, you behave like a guest and you speak like a guest. And so it just kind of has been ingrained from the first day of my, working.
Right. You're it's not just polite, it's how I want to be treated.
Yeah.
Krupal, just give a whole class on
you were just asking me how I have enough time in the day. I can't start another class.
we need you. So you know what? I'm going to start a petition, and that's it.
Start a petition.
Yeah. So, with the last couple of minutes that we have, okay, and I didn't even get to the questions that I wanted, and that's okay. I don't regret a thing. I want to ask this. As it comes to mainframe, is it modernizing or is it standardizing? Ooh, so, loaded.
So this is going to be like a squishy answer, but yeah, I think, my reference to modernizing the mainframe is making sure you're on the most current versions of everything so that you can then exploit all of the new capabilities that are available on the new versions. When I think about standardizing, I think that's the same thing, right? So if you want to standardize, you're still on the right versions, you're on the right platforms, all of that kind of thing. Then I take it one step further and talk about modernizing the applications and the data access to deliver business results. So you have to modernize the infrastructure so that then you can modernize the applications. I think a lot of companies end up saying, well, we're going to skip this, we're going to skip this, we're going to skip this, and then they can't exploit what the newer versions have. And then it's this self-fulfilling, well, our technology isn't in the right space for us to do the right things. Well, it absolutely
you skipped a step.
Yeah, it absolutely can be. So, yeah.
PJ says, mentor me, please.
Ditto, PJ.
We love that. Yeah, the whole thing of what did Greg says? I keep her busy mentoring me. How fun. Hi, Greg.
Hi.
I think what you just said will sum that up for everyone. That's why your team gets results. And skipping steps is just stop skipping steps and look at your big picture and seek out professionals that literally know, because they know this is not theory. You did it with results, and I'm looking at the path, Krupal, and I say, oh, yes, it can be done. The time it takes, worth it. The education, worth it. The give back, worth it. The pivot, worth it. Inspired, motivated. The entire audience, I know, whoever is watching right now is just in love. PJ, not fair. So, listen, do you have any other words of wisdom you'd like to give us before we close out the show? because our time is almost up. Can you believe it? I told you it goes like that.
Went fast. I would just say for those of you that are new to the platform, just learn as much as you can. Some days it feels overwhelming because there's so many moving parts, but just keep learning. And, those of you that have been in the industry for a while, thank you for being who you are in the mainframe space. I know there's a lot of you, PJ. I know we called upon you to help us with one of the EIU sessions. So thank you for always, coming and helping educate the next generation. I just think, I love the community aspect of the Z platform and all of those that I get to work with. And so, looking forward to great things for all of us. I think it's going to be fun. So.
That's awesome. And where can people find you, follow you? Where are you speaking next?
You can find me on LinkedIn at Krupal Swami. You can follow me on Twitter at Krupal Swami, although I don't do a lot on Twitter. And, I will put my email in the chat so that people have it. If they want to reach out, feel free. Happy to answer questions or help you if you're thinking about career moves or what you're going to do next. I'm a big believer in helping to bring the next generation of technologists along. So looking forward to it.
Cool deal. Any conferences that we should see you at?
We'll be at IDUG. Okay. I think we'll be at IDUG. I don't have a session there specifically yet, but we should be there. So
okay. June, I think.
Yeah.
North Carolina this year.
Yeah, Charlotte. So that should be fun. Yeah.
That's going to be flowy and wonderful. It's going to be warm, y'all. It's going to be real warm. Well, look, Krupal, I absolutely positively have had the best time speaking with you. I totally appreciate you taking the time out and caring enough about the community, especially those that are new to Z and platform curious for our platform. Looks like we have some chatting going on. Share
Kansas City.
In Kansas City, yeah, share, and that's going to be awesome. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but Share has two. They do two conferences. So you all are going to be at the one in Kansas City. That's going to be later in the summer, which is kind of cool. And I'll go ahead and drop your email in chat. Let me get that. We will drop that in chat, and I'll post that as well over on our subsequent channels. But yeah, Krupal, congratulations on being who you are, and the entire team over at Team SWAMI, and accepting the invitation and coming on, because people that come on TishTalksTech truly are true blue believers in technology and giving back to the community by taking an hour out of their Sunday and sharing their journey. And my audience, our audience, appreciates you. So on behalf of us here at TishTalksTech, thank you. Thank you for sharing yourself and your team with us, because now we are fully motivated, dedicated, and ready to run. So thanks so much for that. And to all my guests, because you guys just rock. I'll go ahead and close out. You all, guys, we just heard from Krupal Swami, CEO from Team SWAMI. So happy, so cool. Shared some gems that you would not get from anybody else but Krupal Swami. Okay, listen, it's never too late to learn anything. You can do it. You just have to put your mind to it. We learned that today. It also is going to take you time. It is not going to happen overnight. The rise is rising. Things are happening Also, one cool thing, you have to be able to see it. See yourself in what you want to be. Okay. If you don't see it, ain't nobody else gonna see it for you. You have to see it. It's your dream because it's yours. So go ahead and make it happen. Okay. The technology is always there, but we need people to care enough about the technology to take part in the roles. So it does not matter who you are. You just have to care enough to do the job. So if you're ready, we're ready. The mainframe ecosystem is ready. There's space for you on the mainframe. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can catch this replay all day, every day on YouTube, Facebook, X possibly, and LinkedIn. So I appreciate you all joining us here on Tish Talks Tech. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.